The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Dobry wieczór, nazywam się Tomasz Słoma. Chciałbym w imieniu Worldwide School zaprosić Państwa na dzisiejsze webinarium z języka angielskiego. Webinarium poprowadzi nasz ekspert Maciek Duszyński, autor wielokrotnie nagradzanego Edu bloga. Lekcje na blogu w każdy czwartek mogą Państwo znaleźć na naszej stronie internetowej. Jest to mój debiut w roli prezentera, tak więc proszę mi wybaczyć drobne omyłki, które mogą się po drodze przytrafić. Ale teraz do rzeczy. Mają Państwo przed sobą panel webinarium. Czerwona strzałka na górze pozwoli Państwu zamykać i otwierać panel. Najważniejsze jednak jest okienko Questions. To właśnie tutaj mogą Państwo zadawać pytania Maćkowi, jak i odpowiadać na zadawane przez niego pytania. I mam teraz taką prośbę, abyśmy sobie wypróbowali okienko. Proszę napisać, czy Państwo mnie dobrze słyszą. Ok, dużo mamy dzisiaj osób, więc dużo odpowiedzi spływa, wszystko jest ok. Tak więc myślę, że mogę przekazać Maćkowi prowadzenie webinarium. Oddaję głos do studia w Warszawie.
Hello, this is Maciek Duszyński here. Welcome to today's webinar, and today, as you know, we'll be looking at the English language around us. And this is the subject of today's session. English is all around. Basically, the main focus of today's meeting will be to look for ideas for learning. Obviously, you know, a lot of us attend language courses and we have this formalized way of learning, but we can also learn in lots of little ways, quite informally and hopefully pleasantly, and this is what we'll be looking at today. And obviously there is a whole world of different ideas around us, and sometimes it might be just difficult to notice the ones that are closest to us. So this is exactly what we are going to start off with, and since all of you are sitting in front of computers at the moment and taking part in this webinar, I just wanted to start with a computer. In fact, it's a picture of the computer I used to prepare this webinar. And we're going to start off with the elements of the computer, which might be quite interesting. One of such elements is, again, right in front of you. It's the keyboard. So I would like you to take a look at the keyboard and at the screen you are just seeing in front of you. All these words, there are 8 of them, actually refer to some characters which you can find in the keyboard. Now, what I would like you to do is to take a good look at the names of these characters, take a good look at your keyboard, and type the number and the actual character on the keyboard so that we'll see which ones these are. So use the question box to type in your answers. Just type 1 and with an asterisk next to it. Then try to find the ampersand on the keyboard, and let's see if you're able to identify all these words which are right in front of you. Some of these could be really challenging, and some of these could be pretty straightforward. So let's see. Alright, I can see some answers coming, but I see that this is quite challenging. Alright, let's have a look at what these names of characters refer to. So there we go. Number 1 is an asterisk. Just make sure you don't confuse this word with the name of a fictional character, Asterix and Obelix. Now, is an ampersand, and basically the ampersand is can be used in the place of the word and. Now, the rationale behind using the ampersand is very often to indicate that the collaboration between people mentioned is rather close. So, for example, if you have a book which was authored by 2 people and they collaborated closely with each other, their names would be joined by means of an ampersand. Now, if the collaboration was rather was not that close, basically, you can just put and or a colon or a comma, basically, to to separate the names of different people. Forward slash is pretty useful when it comes to websites and addresses of websites, because this is quite a common element in such things. Underscore in emails, semicolon, useful, character, uppercase A. Here we are. Another name for uppercase A is capital A, basically. So uppercase and capital refers to the same type of character. And we also have inverted commas, which come into flavors. You can have a single inverted comma, or you can have a double inverted comma, basically. So the one you choose is up to you. All right, so this is it. As you can see, these words might be quite challenging, but they are every day right in front of you, right on the keyboards that you're using, and this is how you can start exploring the world around you, looking at the objects at hand. Now, the keyboard itself also has a couple of other keys which are used quite frequently. One of them is the Shift key, and you had to use the Shift key in order to enter some of the characters from the previous exercise. And basically Shift means change, which is a very interesting word itself as well. Now, for many of you, the key Alt is just Alt, but basically this is the abbreviation of the word alternate, which stands for, changing the function of a key. And the last key that I wanted to pay our attention to is delete, which is problematic not so much because of its function or the word itself, but rather because of the difficulties in pronunciation. So sometimes people have problems pronouncing the word delete, and this is the actual pronunciation, delete. So you might want to say aloud in front of your computers, delete, to practice the correct pronunciation. And for a couple of moments, I would like to draw your attention to the two keys, Shift and Alternate, because they are quite interesting from the point of view of collocations. Now, my question to you is, do you know what collocations are? Have you ever come across the word collocation? I would like you to use the chat box to just type in yes or no if you know what a collocation is, or what collocations are. Feel free. All right, good. Some of you know what a collocation is. Some of you don't know what a collocation is. I guess what I'm going to show you is quite interesting for both of you. So those of you who know what collocations are, and for those of you who have no idea what they are. So let's start with the basics, and this is the definition of a collocation. So here it is, a very nice definition. The habitual juxtaposition of a particular word with another word, or words with a frequency greater than chance. Fantastic definition, but many of you might not find it very helpful, so I came up with a shorter one. Basically, collocation refers to words which go well together. In other words, sometimes there are certain combinations, like for example, you have two words, make and do, and the word make can be used with some nouns, and the word do can be used with other nouns, and sometimes both of these could be used, and sometimes only one of them, and sometimes well, no combinations are possible at all. So this is exactly what a collocation is, and I wanted to take a look at those two words from the keyboard in the context of collocations. Because the word shift, as I mentioned earlier, refers to a change. Now, if you use a collocations dictionary, and I recommend the one you can see right in front of you, the osdic.com, it's a very nice collocation. You type in the word shift, and the results, first of all, show you the definition of the word, and then you have a lot of different adjectives which could be combined with the word shift, different verbs which could be used with the word shift, and other combinations which are not visible here, but if you go to the website you will see how the word shift can be combined. So let's just take a look at a couple of them, like for example dramatic shift would be a huge one. The same would be true about a major shift, and you have a gradual shift, and then slight shift, climate shift, cultural shift. Lots of different types of shifts changes basically. So collocations are quite interesting because if you know a lot of them, your language fluency will definitely increase because you will know a lot of word combinations and you will never face a situation when you don't know how to use the word. So, you know, starting with the keyboard and moving on to collocations and collocations dictionary online. Now, if you take a look at the other word, in this case, it's alt or alternate. This word is not as productive when it comes to collocations because the search query yielded no results in this dictionary. But obviously, the word itself could be used with in combination with some other words, but it's not as popular a word as to put it in the collocations dictionary. So, since we are talking about the keyboard basically and the words which the keyboard might inspire us to explore, let's take a look at another word, and this time this would be space. So the task for you is, since now you know what collocations are, to come up with as many collocations with the word space as possible. So again, you box, type in your suggestions and let's see how many phrases we can come up with the word space. You can be creative about these collocations. Think about different adjectives you can use with the word space. Or maybe verbs. All right, I can see some suggestions coming up already. All right, wide space, enough space. Okay. Now, collocations are also useful when it comes to checking out if a combination of an adjective and noun is possible, basically. And if you come up with something which is absent from a dictionary, this might mean that the combination of words you have come up with is not a very popular one. So you might want to see if your combinations are understandable to people around you. Okay, space. I see quite a lot of suggestions coming up. And at the same time, this could be quite a challenging thing to do. So let's take a look at the suggestions I have prepared beforehand. So let's take a look at some of them. And, well, we've got open space, we've got white space, space key, we've got breathing space, make space, take up space, private space, and public space. Now, are there any combinations which you would like to ask me about? If so, you can just type in the combination in the question box and I'll do my best to explain what it means. Some of these could be pretty obvious. It's not key space is actually space key. So it's well, space functions here as a modifier of the word key. So space key is actually the key in front of you on your keyboards, basically. So the small key is called space key. Breathing space is basically a moment when you can relax. So breathing space sometimes is necessary when deadlines are tight. Okay, so take a good look at those combinations because in a moment I will ask you to do another exercise with the word space and these combinations that you see right in front of you. Alright, there we go. So there are 5 sentences and as you can see it's about collocations with the word space. What I would like you to do is to use the collocations from the previous screen to fill in the blank spaces in those 5 sentences. And again, use the question box to type in the number of the sentence and you can just put the phrase that's missing. Okay, I see you're very quick with this one. So you must have taken a good look at all the collocations presented. Great. All right, very good. All right, it's going great. I see that a lot of you have already completed all those sentences. So let's take a look at the answers that we have. All right, in the first one, we've got white space, and basically, this is a very useful term, refers to a layout of a document. Basically, if you have a lot of content, you might want to include some white space to make it just look nicer. This is especially true about CVs, which sometimes are just too dense and there's too much information. And in order to, structure them in a nice, eye-pleasing way, you might want to add some white space. Open space, I guess, to lots of you, if not all of you, this is a very well-known term. Breathing space is something we've discussed, and then we've got the sentence where the sofa actually takes too much space, and then public spaces. One of the collocations presented on the previous slide was about private space, and basically, private space is in contrast to public space, a place where you can have some privacy. Okay. Now, I started off talking about collocations with a very interesting definition, and for those of you who don't remember what the definition looked like, here it is again. Now, the question is, some of you might be thinking about the definition, which is not very clear, but where did I take the definition from? So, well, what do you think? Where did I find such an interesting definition of the collocation? Obviously, it's a good definition. It's just it's a little bit complicated. Okay, smart dictionary, encyclopedia. All right. I guess that the answer is very simple. It's the place, the address where we actually all go to look for information on anything. Absolutely. So, well, the answer is simple. I Googled it, and as you can see, the query I used was define collocation, and what the results looked like originally, something like this. So 3 dictionaries, obviously there were many more results, but I just cropped the screen. So it was Cambridge Dictionary, Merriam-Webster Dictionary, and Online Oxford Collocation Dictionary. But I'm not too happy with having to select which dictionary has the best definition, etc. And then, you just have to click and scroll down, etc. So I like things when they happen quickly. So what I suggest you to do is to change your Google settings, because the definitions will come up much quicker. Take a look here. In your Google website, there is this little icon which looks like a cogwheel, and by the way, cogwheel is another word which you might be interested in. This is kind of like, this idea of naming objects around you, starting with the keyboard, moving on to the things that you see on your computer screens, and well, changing the language to English. Now, why is this so cool? Take a look. When you use the same search query, define collocation, what you end up with are similar but different results, really, because the word collocation and the definition comes up on the very at the very top of the results. And basically, this is exactly where I took the definition from. I just copied and pasted it into the slide. And apart from the definition itself, you can see that there are some translations, word origins, and more definitions of the word collocation, if there are any. And also you can see the pronunciation of the word, and you can click on this little icon right next to the pronunciation to actually listen to the word spoken. And this is so cool because it's much quicker and to really look for dictionaries any longer. All the definitions are here. All right. Now, once you change your settings in Google and English becomes your default language, you can take it a little bit further, because take a look at this. These are typical Google settings. I'm using the Polish language as my default language here, and I was looking for Puszcza Białowieska. And basically the results are pretty satisfactory because, well, they are all relevant. I've got, links to different websites about Puszcza Białowieska, and also I have this little snippet of information from Wikipedia on the right-hand side about Puszcza Białowieska. Now, take a look how results are different when you use English as your default language. The thing is that I used exactly the same query. So it's Puszta Białowieska and then enter or click on the magnifying glass. And on the right-hand side, you've got snippets of information from Wikipedia, but the English language version of Wikipedia. So while looking for information on Puszta Białowieska, you can learn what it is like, how, what was the actual term to refer to the forest in English. And as you can see, you don't have to worry about the word Puszta itself because the is Białowieża forest. And well, this is something which is really cool because whenever you are looking for something and there is a Wikipedia article about this thing, you will see English language results and you can learn while looking for information. Now, if you want to explore the subject of Białowieża and Puszta Białowieska, you might start looking for, well, żubr, for example. And obviously, apart from the results relating to the beer, there are results referring to the European bison, which is the official name of that animal. But you might be interested and you might want to, in the subject of European bison, so you might want to start reading the snippet of information. And it goes something like this. The European bison, also known as, and then we have a word. Now, this word, to some of you, might be pretty surprising, but believe it or not, this is another word to refer to żubr. And if you're curious enough and your settings are proper in the Google search engine, you might start to type in something like this. Define, and then there is this word. Now, it might be difficult to come up with proper pronunciation, so obviously just click on the icon and you can hear to the word, you can listen to the correct pronunciation, and here it is. Now the correct pronunciation is wiesent, basically. So there is a slight mistake here in Google results because the first letter suggests, the first character of the pronunciation suggests it should be pronounced wiesent, but it's not wiesent, it's wiesent. And you can hear the correct pronunciation after clicking the icon. So this is how you can explore Google and learn English at the same time when looking for things which are totally unrelated. So if you're looking for parts of a car, for example, on the right-hand side, you will have results from Wikipedia relating to giving you the names of those parts of cars in English. All right. So much for Google. Now, let's have a look at this picture. Now, it's obviously a phone and the lock screen of a phone. Now, can you tell me what is special about the lock screen of the phone? I'm not thinking of the model of the phone, but the information on the lock screen. Is there anything different from what you see on your phones? Obviously, it's actually in English. So basically, your lock screen could be a great source of learning English. How? Well, first of all, take a look at the date. The date is given right here. It's Monday, and then you have a comma, and then July 29th. Sometimes people actually have problems with finding the proper way of how to, finding the proper date format and how should they put this, basically. So on your lock screen, you've got all the information that you need, actually. So it's Monday, July 29th, and this is it. By looking at your lock screen of the phone, you can learn English. And the same is true about this little piece of information at the bottom of the screen, slide to unlock. So if you keep looking at your phone a dozen of times a day, you will just memorize the fact that you're sliding your fingers on the display of the phone. Such things will be will just be natural for you. All right, so here's a task for you. This is a screen of a phone with a couple of words indicated. Words which normally we use, well, I guess in daily conversations. Sieć komórkowa, operator, nie przeszkadzać, ekran, jasność. Pretty common terms, but just notice that you see them in your phones in Polish most of the time. Now, the task for you is to come up with the English equivalents of these. So again, I would like you to use the question box to type in your suggestions. Do you know the words for sieć komórkowa, operator, nie przeszkadzać, ekran i jasność? All right, I see some answers coming up already. All right, great. If your phones are already set to English, this is going to be like a breeze. Just grab your phone, take a look at the settings, and you'll come up with the correct answers. All right, let's take a look. So basically, number one is mobile data, as you can see. Now, number two is quite interesting. It's carrier. Now, that's the word most often used when you want to refer to your operator in English. And if you visit websites of such companies as Samsung or Apple, you can see that apart from direct sales in stores, those companies sell their phones through carriers, and carriers offer different plans. So this is it. Number three, do not disturb. I guess this one was the easiest one, but it's also something that you might want to put on your doorknob at a hotel. And the last one, display and brightness, which is quite interesting because it doesn't say screen and brightness, it says display, which is, again, the most commonly used word when you're referring to your mobile device, be it a phone or a tablet. All right, so as you can see, some words which seem to be pretty obvious sometimes are a bit problematic. I see some of you have been using your phones for a couple of years using the English language settings, which is a very good thing, and I guess you are the ones who knew the answers to all the questions here. Okay, so let's have one more round. It's again another screen from the settings, and well, to urządzenie, dostępność, dyski, użycie iCloud, odświeżanie tle, ograniczenia. Let's have a go at this. Will you be able to identify these terms? Or at least some of these. I guess number 4 is pretty cool. All right. I guess to some of you this will be really surprising because, well, these terms will be totally different. All right, let's have a look. Number 1 is as simple as about. This is it. Now, number 2 is accessibility rather than availability, because these settings basically are about making phone more accessible. Well, for lots of different reasons. Sometimes people just want to see larger icons, things like these. Not availability, whether or not you're available for other people to give you a phone call, but rather about your phone being more accessible. Number 3, just notice that the word disk is not even used in the English language version. It's storage, in fact. Number 4 is quite interesting as well, because sometimes your phone might have a tendency to slow down because there are a lot of apps running in the background, and this is how you should refer to such applications. And then restrictions about limiting access to the phone. All right, let's move on then. And one is, well, the question might look really silly because it's about a phone, but what do you mostly use your smartphone for? I know that normally the answer would be for making phone calls, but basically, smartphones are such versatile tools that you can use them for lots of different reasons, really. WhatsApp, okay, that's a good reason to use a smartphone. What other? Use the internet, absolutely. Like, the internet communicator. What else? Taking notes. All right, Instagram, absolutely. Checking Facebook, very good. So lots of things really, and well, some of you have mentioned the thing I wanted to focus on, which basically is taking pictures. With your phone, you can take such a beautiful picture as this one. It's a really wonderful picture. I mean, obviously, the picture itself might not have huge artistic value, but it might be taken for a reason. Now, if you take a picture with an application such as Sketch, do you know this app, Sketch? This application is actually available for iOS, and I think it's also available for Android, not as a standalone app, but rather as an extension of Evernote. So if you want to use it on an Android smartphone, you have to install Evernote, and then it's an extension to this application. But what I wanted to show you is that a picture which seemingly has no value or no educational value might have educational value after all if you use it properly. So if you're interested in the in the objects in the picture and you have problems, for example, memorizing words such as radiator or windowsill, hole punch, or the phrase okno wychodzi na ogród, so this window overlooks the garden, you might want to use this application to annotate all the pictures that you take and which contain the element you want to memorize. And believe me, to take a picture like this and to put all those annotations took me about a minute. So it's a really user-friendly application. You can use it very very quickly. And basically, if you're interested in subjects around you, or you have problems memorizing some words, well, nothing simpler. Just take a picture of what you're interested in, put some annotations, and then you can create a separate folder in your photo application and well, have your own picture dictionary, which is special because it's yours and everything that's there has been created by you. And if you have proper settings in Google and well, you use Google set to the English language, you can really quickly come up equivalents of Polish words and definitions, so you can create such a thing very, very quickly and very effectively. So let's come back to the original picture we started off this webinar with, a picture of a laptop. And well, I put a couple of arrows here. So what I would like you to do is to try and name the things that are indicated by these arrows. You might want to use some of the terms we've already spoken about. All right, touchpad, definitely. The word which has not appeared in the course of this webinar, but this is it. All right, screen, and you can also use the word display. Absolutely. A lot of ideas, really. That's why I decided not to actually label the picture, just to put arrows, because well, I wanted you to come up with the ideas on how to annotate this. So no, an application such as Sketch is really helpful, and you can create your own dictionary. You can check things online just to make sure that your definitions and labels are proper ones. Okay, one more application I wanted to draw your attention to is something called Ginger. And again, this is available as a standalone app for an iOS. And it's an extension of the keyboard, in fact, in Android smartphones. So if you want to have this on an Android phone, you will have to install this application as an extension to your keyboard. Now, why this application is quite interesting. Take a look at this. This is a screen taken from my phone, and I put a sentence here. Can you tell me where is it? This sentence has a mistake. First of all, what I would like is to try and identify the mistake in the sentence. You don't have to retype the entire sentence, just type the words which are not necessarily correct. Okay, absolutely. I see some of you have already identified the problem with the sentence. That's right. So it's not where is it, but where it is. And basically, this is what Ginger helps you with. If you want to practice writing and, well, if you want to make sure that your grammar is correct, Ginger does exactly this. Take a look at the picture on the left-hand side. Can you tell me what it is? This is the corrected version which Ginger came up with. But Ginger does more than that because it actually offers you some alternatives to the sentence, to the original sentence, basically. So there are a couple of suggestions. Can you tell me where it actually is? Can you tell me exactly where it is? Can you please tell me where it is? Can you tell me where it's hidden, where to get it, where to find it, where you got it? So in fact, you've got a lot of different suggestions, and in fact, you might want to go for some of them. Now, if you type an entire text, Ginger will actually check it for you, will make sure that grammar is correct, and will offer some alternative versions of your sentence. You can send the message directly from the application, or you can copy and paste it to another application. So you might want to, well, type an entire email using this and just, improving your writing, looking at some other ways of saying the same thing. And also it has another functionality which is pretty useful. If you come across a word whose pronunciation you are not sure of, you might want to just paste it in Ginger and then just touch the icon of the speaker, and the application will actually read out the word for you. It can actually read the input to you, so it could be used for such purposes as well. All right, let's move on. And well, the fridge itself could be a source of inspiration as well. Thinking so much about naming all the objects which you put into your fridge, but rather looking at the user manual. Now, you can actually learn English by looking at the user manual. When you have like a new piece of equipment at home, a new appliance at home, what you can do is actually try to learn how to operate this reading English language instructions. Usually, instructions come bundled in one bag, and there are like 20 different languages, so you can just pick and choose. What I would like you to do is to take a look at the Polish language version of the instruction and well, try and guess what the original, what the words in English are. So we've got chłodziarka, zamrażarka, urządzenie, zużycie energii. Now, be mindful of the word hałas, because in English it's actually totally different. The structure of the sentence is totally different. So use the question box again to come up with a couple of suggestions, and let's see if these words are pretty obvious or challenging. All right. I can see suggestions coming up slowly. And this is pretty cool, isn't it? Because, it's one thing to learn how to operate a new thing, and well, quite another thing to learn another language at the same time. Watch out for the word hałas. As I mentioned, the sentence, the English language sentence, has a totally different structure, and it focuses on, well, the lack of it, in fact. The lack of hałas. Okay, let's see. So here are the answers. So chłodziarka, that's obviously the fridge, and then we have zamrażarka, which is the freezer. Now urządzenie in this context is appliance. It's not so much a piece of equipment or device, basically, because whenever you're referring to whatever, microwave oven, to washing machine, to dishwasher, to those big things that you buy for home, they are usually called, I mean, the word usually describes them is the word appliance rather than any other word. Now, then you have zużycie energii, which is energy consumption, and then hałas in Polish is actually, well, silentness in English. Now, the funny thing about the word silentness is that it does not exist any longer because it's a very, very old term. So possibly people responsible for writing the instruction manual were not necessarily the users, native speakers of the English language. They went for the word which possibly they Googled, because the word used nowadays is the word silence, just like the sound of silence. And then you have awaria zasilania, which is a power failure, which, sometimes is useful to know. It's not a very nice thing to happen, but it's a very useful word to know. So as you can see, some things which seem obvious for us when we read instruction manual in Polish might be a bit of a challenge when we look at the English language version of the same thing. And the satisfaction is much greater because it's it's twice as satisfying to, on the one hand, learn how to operate a new appliance, and on the other hand, learn some new English terms alongside. All right, we can take this idea a little bit further, and the question is, do you recognize this screen? I guess all of you use this thing quite often, but not necessarily in this language version. And it could be quite interesting. Absolutely, that's an ATM or a cash machine. And just notice how many things you can learn by selecting the English language version. So basically, szybka wypłata is fast cash. If you want to take money out from your bank account, that is withdraw. If you want to check how much money you have, well, you would actually inquire balance, etc. Just notice that these words are the words which we feel very comfortable about when we use the Polish language, because they are, well, pretty obvious. Now, if you go for the English language version, suddenly you might learn some new and interesting things. Plus, I know that, another benefit of selecting the English language version is that sometimes some cash machines have advertisements running on them, and well, you spend a lot of time just looking at the adverts rather than taking out the money. If you select the English language version, the adverts are gone. So this is a very nice thing about selecting English. And also, you might want to use the same trick when you go to supermarket and you go to a self-checkout. The word itself, checkout, is pretty interesting. Well, kasa samoobsługowa, this is it. And again, if you go for the English language version, you can be certain to learn some new things. For example, scan an item. Okay, and in fact, when you learn all those things, when your vocabulary is huge, you will just notice that it's so much easier to find information on Facebook or Instagram, for example, because all those hashtags are much more fruitful when it comes to using them, in English. So if you're looking for information on, I don't know, for pictures of mountains, if you type in góry, you will get, fewer pictures than if you type mountains in the English language. And obviously, to be able to use those hashtags effectively, you have to have a wide vocabulary. And in fact, this is it. This is what I wanted to show you today, guys, to inspire you to look around you, to look for those things which seem to be obvious, which we overlook on a daily basis, because inspiration is everywhere. Just, snap a picture of the things that you're interested in, label those pictures using applications which I showed you, or some other applications which you like using. Whenever there is a possibility, go for the English language version rather than the Polish language version, and you will notice that suddenly your vocabulary will boom. All right, thank you very much for attending today's webinar, and now back to Tomek to close this session. Thank you very much and have a nice evening.
Witam ponownie. Dziękuję Ci, Maćku, za przygotowanie webinarium. Mógłbym słuchać, jak mówisz po angielsku, godzinami, dosłownie. Korzystając z okazji, chciałbym Państwa zaprosić na kolejne webinaria w październiku z języka angielskiego, z języka rosyjskiego, z języka niemieckiego. Raz w miesiącu o godzinie 14 i o godzinie 19. W ciągu 2 tygodni na naszej stronie internetowej pojawią się zaproszenia. Zapraszam Państwa do rejestracji. Co więcej, w ciągu kilku dni od dzisiejszego spotkania otrzymają Państwo na maila link do dzisiejszego nagrania, jak i materiały, które dla Państwa Maciek przygotuje. Z mojej strony to wszystko. Życzę wszystkim Państwu i każdemu z osobna miłego wieczoru. Do usłyszenia.